So I just read the book Turning Pro by Steven Pressfield for the third time. And this book, if you don't know who Steven Pressfield is, he wrote the book War of Art. Now he's written Turning Pro, and he's probably got a few other books. He definitely has a few other books I've seen on Audible that I haven't indulged in. But he's a really famous author for talking about the resistance. Now, what is the resistance? No, we're not talking the Illuminati. We're not talking the World Economic Forum, although they could be types of the resistance. We are talking about anything that interrupts the muse. So when you try and do anything with your life where you feel like things that would make you come alive, really. For me, like, I'll give you an example of the resistance. Today, I experienced the resistance by listening to Turning Pro. Pretty much it's only a 2-hour audiobook on Audible. And so many of us, we have gifts, right? We have talents, or we have aspirations that we want to bring and share with the world. And whether it be limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, or we just busy ourselves with things, we don't actually do the thing a lot of the time that we want to do. And that's something that I want to change for a lot of people. I do feel like that's part of my gift, is inspiring people to really do what makes them come alive. And so that's a lot of the work that I'm tailored to doing, right? And that's why I make these videos, is to self-actualize, to better yourself, to better your mind, and to want more and get more out of life. And so for me, I've been so busy working on this new business project I had to get done this week. It's really a new exciting opportunity, and it's taken away from me actually shooting videos. And so the way I want to do this, and the way I want to flow with this creating content and stuff, is I really want to make it a fun process. But sometimes just setting this camera up and just executing and talking about what I'm doing and what I'm up to and what I'm focused on, it's like I can just busy myself and procrastinate by doing so many other things, whether that's doing the dishes, whether that's busying myself with other admin work. I got my hair cut before I shot this video. Literally anything that gets in the way of you executing the task. And this is one of the things that I'm trying to focus on with deep work. Shout out people like Dan Coe and a lot of guys that I'm in my business mastermind with. They do 1 to 2, sometimes even 3 deep work sessions where they just kind of have one task for 3 hours, and they just do that. And a lot of these guys say that 1 hour of deep work, right? Me taking an hour and setting this up and shooting it and uploading it. 1 hour of just executing is better than 8 hours of kind of all over the place work, which I've been a victim of in the past. So back to the book is like, what is it that you're not currently executing on that if you did, it would improve every area of your life? Because what I've noticed is getting into alignment is really doing what makes us come alive within our value system. So if we're doing things in our value system that makes us feel good, that makes us feel congruent with who we think we are and how we see the world, then ultimately we're going to start feeling better in our day-to-day. And I've been crushing it the last few weeks because I've been staying consistent with trying to get this channel off the ground. And despite not having many viewers, despite not having thousands and tens of thousands of subscribers, it doesn't matter, because I'm doing what makes me happy and what I think what my gift is to contribute to society and the world and itself. So my takeaways from the resistance, I'll just share some of the key high notes. I think everybody should read this book, Turning Pro. He talks a lot about the amateur, which is like the inception and who you are before you turn pro. And he says, do you remember what you were doing on 9/11? And, depending on who the viewership of this video is, I was in kindergarten, right? But do you remember what you're doing during 9/11? Most people are going to say yes, and he's like 60, 70 years old. Whatever, he's 50. Sorry, Steven Pressfield, if I'm just butchering your age right now. I have no idea how old you are. But most people do, right? And remember where they were on 9/11. He's like, well, you're definitely going to remember where you are when you start turning pro. And I read this book with my mastermind about a month and a half ago, and I actually read it twice in a row. I just went through it, and I'm like, damn, this hits. This is good. This is right where I'm at in my stage of life. I need to go through this again. I went through it again. And I felt that recently. I'm like, okay, I've been sharp. I've been on it for the last 3-4 weeks, killing the beginning of the year. But turning pro, it's like I got to focus on what brings me alive. Because when I'm focused on this stuff, when I'm focused on the creative and expanding and contributing, I notice that business just gets easier. More deals get closed. My energy's better. My health is better. Everything else kind of falls into place. So, amateur behavior, what he refers to, is like, it is procrastinating. It's not getting the stuff done. It's avoiding the hard stuff. It's avoiding hard conversations with yourself. It's doing anything that isn't incongruent with who you're trying to be. Amateurs, they're distracted. Amateurs never take action on the things that matter. Right? Amateurs busy themselves with other stuff so that they can never actually make their dreams a reality. Pros, on the other hand, they get it done. They feel the resistance, they feel the struggle and the procrastination, and they say, F that, I'm gonna do it anyways. And so they address it head on. And regardless of the outcome, like there's this unattachment to it, but just this sake of doing it for the process. Like me creating this video is just like me doing it for the process of creation, of sharing, of contributing. And eventually, you know, if we get thousands of subscribers here, then that's a bonus. But at the end of the day, like, I'm doing this for me to get to where I need to be. And then eventually, once I get more comfortable and congruent with the mission and all that, then I'm gonna focus on turning pro and helping others turn pro. And that's what I feel called to do right now. And so, yeah, like today, for example, I had an intention I was gonna do the videos this afternoon, videos now this evening, because I was just busying myself with all this other stuff that I have to get this project off the ground. So even listening to the book instead of shooting the video, that was a form of the resistance and amateur behavior. But that gave me today's topic that I wanted to share because I think it's important, right? Like, where are you being an amateur in your life? Where are you not being a pro? And the way he kind of describes it, like, you just want to identify as a pro. Who doesn't? A lot of people aren't going to, though. They're not going to have that awareness. They're not going to be conscious of the things that are holding them back, right? Like maybe here's the thing. I'm getting really nuanced with balance and flow. Like, I used to have this very strong rigidness to me where I have like super extremes, right? Like, for example, drinking alcohol. I've not drinking alcohol for like 2 years at a time, not even a single drop, right? And I'm like, no, I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. And you know, I drank and partied a lot in college and high school and all that, but I never really had a drinking problem. Like, fine, I'd be fine having a couple drinks, whatever, but I'm like, no, because I'm personal development and all that. And I think that's really good. I think that's really good to an extent. Like, if you do have a drinking problem, or if you notice that you're having a few too many during the week and it's rolling over and affecting other areas of your life, then you shouldn't be drinking as much, right? Like, that's holding you back. That's a form of resistance of you self-actualizing and you getting to where you want to be. But then now, like, I can have a couple drinks and I can enjoy those social environments, or I just go out and I still don't drink and I just don't make it a thing. Like, it doesn't have to be 100 or nothing, right? Or I just go and just get absolutely obliterated and go out. Like, no. I like flowing. I like dabbling. Like, that's kind of that's the stance. And here's the thing. I'm also open to that mindset changing, right? It really served me a year ago to just go completely. I really like honed in on like lack of vices, right? And there's a time and place for that where you just get super dialed in and I call it going monk mode, right? Imam Ghazi talks about that a lot, going monk mode. And that's where you just focus and you move the needle forward. Like, you focus on work and you get that off the ground, you build yourself up, you just go to the gym. You don't have the distractions. But sometimes life is full of distractions, right? And it's about integrating them. It's about enjoying the distractions of life and the chaos of life, and then also integrating that with your mission. And there's going to be stages, I'm sure, without a doubt, that I'm going to have to buckle down, and that's coming up right now, of just like grind mode. I took 6 weeks off of business and all that to pretty much go travel Argentina, and I had a lot of fun. My family came down for 3 weeks, me and my brother just traveled for 6 weeks. But it was a little bit amateur behavior because I was off mission. It was kind of like a distraction. But I didn't feel guilty during it. I wanted to be furthering the mission, but I just enjoyed my time. And so, I don't want my channel to just be like, hey, it has to be 100% extreme, like, no, you know, you can't enjoy your life. Like, that's kind of where it got to, where I wasn't actually enjoying, like, my life kind of got kind of dull, because I'm a pretty fun person. I like going out, I like socializing, and I was just kind of staying in like 6 nights a week, and I don't love the club. I actually kind of despise the club. The club is not a good scene. I don't think it's good for anybody. But there's times that going to the club is going to be a fun time. And not going to the club last year, do I regret it? Hell no. Like, my health's better for it, my brain's better for it. I saved more money. I didn't go out and buy all these rounds of drinks and anything. So like, if there was a special occasion to go to the club, I'll go to the club, right? But as soon as it starts interfering with the mission, as soon as it interferes with you becoming the version of yourself that you need to share with the world, then let it go. Let it go. It's always going to be there. There's certain people, like sometimes you have to really change your environment. He talks about this a lot. Turning pro, a lot of people aren't going to be happy that you're turning pro. And I used to think like, oh man, everybody wants everybody to win. Everybody's abundance mindset, but they're really not. Like, when you get down to it and you start focusing on yourself and you start betting yourself, it's gonna rub people the wrong way. And unfortunately, it's just because you're stepping into a version of yourself that they know they're capable of, but they don't. And sometimes that comes off as like passive aggressive. They'll say diminishing comments or things that just won't feel good, and be like, hey, the energy was off of that statement. And I know when this happened to me a few times, I just kind of let it go. I'm like, oh, okay, like whatever, like not a big deal. But now it's like, I take note of that, right? Like, I take note of somebody, if I have a win, for example, and I get a weird energy, like I'm sharing a win with this person, I'm excited about it, and they don't reciprocate that, I take note of that, right? Because very, very rarely will somebody share a win with me, something that's going well in their life, and I don't feel happy for the person. Unless it's something that's like harmful for them. If it's like a win to them that doesn't align with my values, then I'll be like, okay, good. I'll still say good for you, right? But 9 out of 10 times, 95% of the time, I'm gonna be like, yo, that's freaking awesome. Like, let's go, like level up. It's time, like this is your time. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how small you think it is. It's like, if that person thinks it is a win, give them encouragement. Like, yeah, unfortunately, there's people that don't want to see you win. And when you start turning pro, that becomes more evident. And when you stop associating with amateurs and you step into becoming your own pro, you're naturally going to gravitate towards other pros. And I'm really fortunate. I have a lot of pros in my circle right now, and it feels really good. And I don't have to diminish wins. I don't have to diminish, anything that I'm moving towards success, because people are genuinely happy for me. And if they're not, then they're gonna wiggle themselves out of the proximity. It's just how vibration and frequency works. So that's what I want to share with you guys. Is like, turning pro it's more of like a philosophy of life. And the more that you're willing to step into that pro nature, the more exciting life's going to be, the more fun the ride's going to be. You're stepping into the unknown, you're stepping into courage, you're stepping into being more bold of a person, and it's going to be hard. It's hard letting versions of ourselves go. It's like the death of an ego, so to speak. It's the death of a version of you, but then that means you're sacrificing this death of a version of you that's not actually the best version of you anyways, for a version that could be infinitely better. It will be infinitely better. Like, you can't level up. Tony Robbins says this, if you progression, like happiness is progression. When you feel like you're progressing, the only times I feel lower vibration is when I feel like I'm taking a step back, or I feel like I'm not actually progressing, I'm kind of coasting. My problems seem to dissipate when every area of my life starts leveling up. That's just what I notice. And I notice, like, if you go through this as well, whether you're going to the gym, you're going out dating, you're trying to find your person, you're going out and just working on your health, or you're working on your mindset, you're meditating. You can't do good things that are good for you consistently and not feel better for it. It just doesn't work that way. And so, as you step into turning pro, there's different levels to this as well, right? You're gonna become the ultimate version. But the thing is, as pro, like, there's never a top of the mountain either. Like, there's always another level, and that's the fun thing about personal development, is it's your game, right? It's like whatever game you choose to play and level up in is going to be the game that you either succeed or fail in. right? And you kind of, that's the motto I've been saying is like, I'm playing a different game right now. Most people, like 95% of people are going this way, I'm gonna go this way. Like, and this is kind of what I've been doing, is pushing the societal norms and pushing these things because I'm forging my own path. I don't wanna walk with 95% of people. I just don't wanna be with them. I wanna be with the 5%. The 5% that are pros, they're aligned, they're going after it, that's who I wanna associate with. And even then, like we're all going different directions, right? But we're all pursuing being a pro. That's what I got from the book, man. So if you haven't read it, read it. I'll link it in the description. Check it out. Turning Pro, another really good book by Steven Pressfield is The War of Art. Very similar concept. Just, the way he articulates things is quite pleasant, quite beautiful. But I'll leave that for you guys right there. And I hope that you choose to turn pro. I hope there's an action that you can take today, a conscious decision. He says, amateurs, there's always tomorrow. There's always the next day. I'll do it tomorrow. Turn pro today. Make the conscious choice to turn pro today.